Today, the Kansas City Chiefs wrap up the NFL preseason as they get prepared to start the NFL regular season. So, we'll discuss all the hottest news going on in Chiefs Kingdom. Now with that, let's cut the chit chat and let's have some fun. Week 3 of the NFL preseason is literally almost underway in a couple of hours as the Kansas City Chiefs will take on the Chicago Bears and wrap it up tonight. It should be a fun one. We're only going to see backups, but hey, this is the time where those boys, third string, fourth string, maybe even fifth string, try to fight for that final roster spot. So I'm going to be tuned in. I won't be going live, but I will be giving a recap video, and I'll be giving a roster bubble video as well. So please tune in for that. Today, I'm going to go through all the news and notes that surrounded week 1 of NFL preseason, training camp, and week 2 because there is a lot that's been swirling. And what I took away from last week's game against the Detroit Lions was the offensive line, specifically the starting offensive line. Everyone was watching that high-powered offense and the Chiefs just throwing the ball up and down the field and moving it. But the only way that could have happened was the protection. And man, them boys looked like they weren't going to let Patrick Mahomes get touched. Even when Carson Wentz came in the game as well, he wasn't getting touched. They had all kinds of time of day. And that is something you really want to see moving into the regular season because there is question marks at that left tackle position, at that right tackle position because of what Jawan Taylor did last year and all the penalties. But it may be solidified. Now, Jawan Taylor did sustain an injury, and Lucas Niang has been the one filling in that spot, which is a name we haven't heard for quite some time, but he has been filling in well in practice and in training camp, but Jawan Taylor ain't losing his spot. When we go to the left tackle position in Kingsley Samatea or however I pronounce it wrong, he is signed, still delivered. The Kansas City Chiefs' future left tackle and present left tackle because it was never really a competition in training camp. And we all thought him and Wanya Morris were going to battle it out. There was never no battle. He was day one and all the way through, and it looks like he will be day one in week 1 as well. Coach Reed and Brett Veach knew when they drafted him in the second round that he was going to be their starter for the next 10 years. Now let's see how it all pans out. He has looked very, very promising, and I'm excited to see what he does next year. I said next year. I meant this year because we are literally 2 weeks away. It's time to get dialed in and zoned in. And when we focus on this offense, we don't heavily focus on the running back position. But this one running back stole the eyes and hearts of all of Chiefs Kingdom and Carson Steele. He has been making a name for himself. And we always jump on one undrafted hype train, and he was the guy this year. And he may have just earned himself a roster spot because he looks like he is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs RB2 moving into this season, which is crazy to say. Like, we all thought it could be Deneric Prince, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We weren't even mentioning him when it came to minicamp time with Carson Steele. Now, he's impressed in training camp, he's impressed in preseason, and we're going to learn a lot today against the Chicago Bears what Carson Steele's spot is. And why do I say that is if Carson Steele is going to be playing a good amount of snaps, he may be fighting for a roster spot. If he barely plays, he signed, still delivered. He will be playing in week 1, and he will have packages dialed up. You best believe it. He looks good on the offense, and he even looked good on special teams where he had a crazy return last week as well. I mean, everybody looked great on special teams, which we'll touch on later, but Carson Steele, he's going to be a name to watch out for in the 2024 NFL season. But with it looking like Carson Steele making this roster, that means there's an odd man out. And unfortunately, it looks like that labels Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And best believe that is something I am going to be heavily, and I mean heavily zoned in tonight. It's going to be Deneric Prince and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And hopefully Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets to go this week because he's been dealing with some mental health stuff throughout this offseason, which has kept him sidelined through training camps and also in preseason where we haven't seen much of him, which gave guys like Carson Steele and even Deneric Prince, who look like he has vastly improved from his rookie year when he had multiple good runs last week, to where he may be an RB3. It's going to be an interesting battle seeing unfold against the Bears, and I don't know how likely the Kansas City Chiefs keep Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Brett Veach and Coach Reed, specifically Coach Reed mentioned in his press conference that Brett Veach has something for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. What does that mean? I don't know. Maybe they stash him on IR, that way they don't cut him. That seems the most likely, but for whatever reason, it doesn't seem like Clyde Edwards-Helaire will be playing meaningful downs for the Kansas City Chiefs this season. Let's talk about explosions. Let's talk about taking the top off on the defense, because the Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers, that's what they were doing to the Detroit Lions last week, and it may give us a taste of what we are going to see this season, and you can really, really tell. The main focal point against the Lions was get Worthy the ball and then get Rashee Rice the ball. And boy, did they ever. And they look like a fun, dynamic duo. I was excited to see what Worthy can do in this offense, and he literally shows that 4.21 speed is not just track speed, it is football speed. And he is going to be a demon to be forced to reckon with, and every DB is going to struggle with. It's literally like having another Tyreek in this offense, and that is something Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs desperately missed, was that deep ball. And it may be officially back. And Rashee Rice himself, he looks like he is ready to take that next step, which is great to see. We've had the dilemmas, we've had the debacles, we had the crazy offseason with Rashee Rice. But if he's not suspended, he may jump into a top 15 wide receiver category. Don't call it as crazy as what it may be. When you got Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, you got a great O-line blocking for you, anything is bound to happen. This is going to be a great duo. And then we will not leave out Hollywood Brown, because he has been sidelined after his week 1 injury against the Jaguars. He should be missing 4 to 6 weeks, which is iffy. He may miss week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens. With that, though, he seems like he is going in the right direction. I don't know if he'll play, but he is definitely going to be a piece needed, because if you have those 3 running at full speed and you got Travis Kelce in the mix, this may be the best weapons that Patrick Mahomes has ever had, and this offense can be really, really fun to watch. Now, let's talk about special teams, because in week 1 against the Jaguars, it was a complete shit show. It looked like, okay, we are going to struggle with these new kickoff rules. It looks like a mess. We're fumbling. We don't know what we're doing. And then in week 2 of the preseason, what happened? Because everyone who seemed like they touched the ball had a 30 or 40 yard return, and it seems like the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have the best special teams unit. And give it for what it is. I think that's what it's going to be next season. It may be a week by week basis until the Kansas City Chiefs and probably every NFL team learns how they want to attack and implement these new NFL kickoff rules. Good to see that they have a good thing moving forward. Hopefully they can keep that path straight, because it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. The Chiefs are even trying LRZ out on kickoffs as a kicker. We thought it was just Justin Reed. So Dave Tobe has a lot up his sleeve, and he's even banging on the door for a guy like Nico Remijo. Yes, he wants him on the roster badly. I'm with you, Tobe. I want him there too. He had an impressive punt return. He's been making plays on the offense again. Can the Kansas City Chiefs stash another 7 wide receivers? We will wait and see until next week. And with next week literally looming around the corner, it is going to be roster bubble. It's going to be cut down day. Some of our favorite players, some of our longest vets may be on the chopping block, like a McCall Hardman, Kadarius Toney, like I mentioned, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. No one is going to be safe when you're on that fringe of fighting for that spot. Well, of course, the vets like Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes are safe, but those guys who we questioned all through training camp and didn't really prove much, there's these young and upcoming studs that were knocking on the door and trying to take a grown man job. Like Isaiah Pacheco famously said, we're going to be tuned in, we're going to be dialed in, but tonight, someone's going to earn their right to be on the Kansas City Chiefs 53-man roster. With that, Chiefs Kingdom, I'm going to close this video out. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I do have a lofty goal of 2,000 subscribers. We might not get there by week 1, but it's still a goal. Let's do it. Let's achieve that. Also, if you did like this video, please hit that big thumbs up. I'm checking out. Y'all take care. Peace.